Hey guys, how are you doing? So I want to introduce you to a brand new product that Isaac and I have developed called Tangent Templates. And this is a product that's developed especially for CreateSpace and KDP, which is Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which also now offers paperbacks in beta version. So this is really cool. Amazon have two platforms, CreateSpace and KDP, just for publishing your own books. Now, I know a lot of people are freaked out by books. They're like, that sounds like a lot of work. I tried writing a book once and it was really hard. Do people even buy books anymore? And what I will say is, first of all, to use CreateSpace, to sell on CreateSpace, you don't need to write a book. And I'm going to show you how I got into it. When I was doing a lot of retail arbitrage, I started selling composition books like this, and I would often bundle them together or sell them in packs. And I found that composition books in June, July sold like hotcakes. So I would go to Walmart, go wherever, stock up on composition books. But the more I sold them, the more I looked at them and went, these are really boring. Like, these are the dullest composition books I've ever seen. And I started thinking, what if I could find more interesting composition books? So I'd look in Target and they had sort of neon colours, or they had sort of brighter colours, but they didn't have anything super interesting. So I got on CreateSpace, and with Isaac we started designing some composition books of our own. And these are a couple that we made very, very early on, because I realised that unicorns were becoming like this massive niche. This was probably 2015 I started doing this, and I realised that unicorns were a huge niche. So we said, okay, let's make some different unicorn designs. And we used public domain artwork and royalty-free artwork, put them on these composition books. They did great. So this is a regular composition book, and this one is graph paper. I don't know if you can see that, but it has the graph 5x5 rule. And it's a regular composition book. It has 200 pages, it's the standard sizing, and it's sold great. So this was how we got started making composition books. And since then, in our Curate course, we taught people how to make composition books, how to make things like dot grid books. So this is a dot grid journal that we made. Again, public domain artwork, Starry Night. You're not going to run into any problems with this, because it's an old picture that is in the public domain. And this one has dots. So a lot of people use these as bullet journals. And again, this is something I kind of discovered through serendipity when I created another book with Starry Night that was actually a notebook with writing pages, and someone left a review and said, I wish this was a bujo. And I went, okay, what's a bujo? And I did some Googling and I found out that bullet journals are huge. People love dot grid journals. Now, bujo, bullet journal are trademarks, so we just simply call it a dot grid journal, but it has done really well. It's sold consistently for us. So these are books we've created with literally very little work. I mean, Isaac put together the interiors, which are either line paper, dot grid paper, squared paper for graphs, and then we added a cool cover and we launched them on CreateSpace. And the great thing is these sell pretty regularly. And in the summertime, when it comes to back to school season, they explode. So I'm pretty excited about these. We've also been doing some other blank books, like this one, for example. This sells pretty regularly for us, and it's an isometric grid paper book. And inside it has this really awesome isometric print. And people use this for art, for creating their artwork, for isometric artwork, 3D artwork, and especially people who are doing 3D printing. So our kids, for example, do 3D printing projects at school. This kind of book is perfect for them to sketch out their ideas, plan their projects. Another thing we've done, story paper for kids. And this is so cute because kids can write their stories, fill in the blanks, all of that stuff. So there are a lot of blank books you can make. And what we thought we would do is make this process easier for you and make it super quick, super simple. And to do that, we've created this product, which is called Tangent Templates. So Amazon has 3 print-on-demand platforms. It has CreateSpace, Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP, and also it has merch by Amazon. And I know of the three, merch tends to get the most attention, mainly because on the surface it's an easy platform. You come up with your t-shirt design, you upload it, you sell it, great, done. There are some challenges, however, with merch that don't exist with CreateSpace and Kindle Direct Publishing. The first is that there is a ton of competition on merch. It can be actually quite difficult now to get your t-shirts seen. It's very, very heavy on sellers, which is fine, but it's something that I found with CreateSpace was quite a relief in that there's really not nearly the level of competition. And I think that's mainly because people perceive CreateSpace as being quite difficult. And you're going to see using the system, it's really not. It's really a rapid design platform. The second thing with merch is that there is a waiting list. So if you've not been approved yet, you may have a wait to get accepted. You have to apply and then wait for an invitation to get accepted. With CreateSpace, you can be in straight away. You just sign up, you're good to go. The other issue with merch is that there are some challenges when it comes to trademarks, copyright. They're not always totally consistent with how they enforce the rules. So you can find yourself doing quite a lot of guesswork on even just how you describe your t-shirt so that you don't use trademarks, that you don't use anything that anyone else might have a claim to. Now, CreateSpace, of course, you can't use any copyrighted materials. You've got to be very careful using trademarks. However, they enforce the rules a lot more sensibly, in my experience with CreateSpace. I don't have that sense of stress of like, oh no, am I going to get a performance warning? I've been using CreateSpace several years, touch wood, no performance issues at all, and I've never felt concerned about my account. Their customer service is decent as well, so some really good advantages to CreateSpace. And for me personally, my CreateSpace sales way outsell my merch t-shirts. I think CreateSpace is an awesome platform. And two things I want to say. If you have the ability to do merch, if you've been able to come up with designs or even buy designs or figure it out, you can do CreateSpace. The second thing is, if you've come up with a design for a t-shirt, there's no reason you can't put that on a notebook, a journal, a diary. Like you have a lot of options with that design. So you can totally apply those to CreateSpace. So let's jump in and check out Tangent Templates. Okay, so we're going to start by logging in and jumping right into Tangent Templates. And the first thing you're going to see is all of these cool interior files. So what we have is 12 different interior files for you. We've got blank with page numbers, we've got college rule paper, wide rule, graph paper, dot grid, hexagons, isometric, story paper, sheet music, and even guitar tabs. So this is cool to start with. We're giving you 12 different interior files, and let's click through to the first one. So we'll start with just college rule line paper. And what you will see here is that we have 15 different sizes of the college rule line paper. So what is awesome about this is that CreateSpace gives you a whole bunch of different options to size your book. So for example, this is a composition book size. It's 7.4 by 9.69. You can see that right here. So if you wanted to do a composition book, you would just choose this one. They also have these like nice big sizes. This is the 8.5 by 11 we've used for the isometric. They also have the much smaller sizes, the 5 by 8, which we've used for these dot grid journals. So you can see they really do a big mixture of sizes. If I move it out that way, you can see how these sizes vary on the different books. So already you have 15 different books, styles, sizes you can make here just with the college rule line paper. And what we give you is a PDF file, and each PDF file has 200 pages. So this is exactly what you need to have this college ruled paper. If you wanted to create a composition book, you would just simply click PDF, 200 pages, it downloads, there it is, it's gone off the screen. It's downloading there, I can open it up. It is an interior that is ready for you to just upload directly into CreateSpace. So we could say composition book, and let's say we want to put mermaids on it. So we can call it, let's call it mermaid composition book. We're going to call it a paperback. It is a paperback. And we're going to just go with the streamlined setup process. And so then you just set up the basic information, title, author, it doesn't really need one. If you have a brand for your composition books, you can put it in there. We put iMythica Books as one of ours, so we put that there. It doesn't show up on the book unless you choose it to. And the language is English. CreateSpace will give you an ISBN number, so you don't have to worry about buying an ISBN. There's our interior, black and white, that's fine. We're going to choose the size we want, which is the 7.44 by 9.69. And then right here, we're just going to upload our new interior file that we just downloaded. And boom, all we need to do now is add a cover to our book, and we're pretty much ready to go with it. So this is how easy CreateSpace is. So let's go back to Tangent Templates. So again, we have all these different designs. So you can create your hexagon paper, and here's the cool thing, you can come up with whatever ideas you want to for this. So the hexagon paper, maybe you want to do quilting, you want to give people paper that they can sketch out quilts on, or maybe you want to sell it to gamers so they can create their maps for Dungeons and Dragons. I know a lot of role-playing game people use hex paper to create their maps. You can find all these different uses for this paper. For the graph paper, you can sell it just to make standard graph paper books. Just as we did with the unicorn one, you can just make a standard graph book for school, graph composition, or you can use it to create knitting patterns. Like, there's a million things you can do. Some people practice calligraphy with graph paper. Occupational therapists sometimes use it for handwriting. So you can just create a different cover, different description, and it says, okay, this is Granny's knitting book to create her knitting patterns, or an OT's handwriting book. So with these different templates, you can create all kinds of different books. And here's the great thing. I mean, with composition books, you can pick anything that is popular. Can put political slogans on it. I mean, like, think about when you were at school. What did you feel strongly about? I mean, it could be vegan rights, and like I had meat not murder, or meat is murder all over my books because I had to write it on. But you can actually sell to those students and those kids by putting on slogans that appeal to them. You can put on pretty things. You can put on owls and teddy bears or alpacas or whatever popular thing, poop emojis. As long as it's either public domain or it's royalty free, or you've commissioned the artwork from someone, the sky is the limit. One of our best-selling composition books has the original Alice in Wonderland images on. It's done really, really well for us, and it's public domain artwork, so you can totally use things like that. You can use old paintings, old pictures. I mean, like we did Starry Night. The sky is the limit on what you can put on these books. And the great thing is you can use the same design. If you come up with a beautiful sort of Starry Night dot grid journal, you could put it on sheet music. You could put it on guitar tabs. And the key thing here is thinking about your target audiences. Which audiences have been ignored? Like, I look at guitar tab books, like books where you can sort of compose your music. And I think a lot of them are really, really dull. They're like plain books. What about, I mean, like if you're a girl composing songs on guitar, maybe you want like a really awesome rock chick book. Maybe you want it like, I hate saying pink for girls, but like sometimes that really works to have a particular book for a certain audience, or at least put a certain theme on it. Like maybe you could put skulls all over it. Like I feel a death metal guy doesn't want to compose music on the same place as someone who's taking like guitar lessons, acoustic. Like people want books that match their personality. So this gives you the power to really create those books that will meet with someone's personality. So as you can see, you have 12 different interior files or styles of paper, and with each one you have 15 different sizes. So you can create a travel size book, or you can create a great big composition book. Now I've shown you the PDF. So with the PDFs, you are ready to go. You just download those onto your computer, re-upload them back onto CreateSpace, and you're ready to just add a cover and go. You are done. However, we have also given you the InDesign and Illustrator templates. And what that means is that if you use Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator, you can download the files here and actually edit them. So for example, we have story paper here, and I'll show you it in the big size. we have the story paper, which is similar to the story paper we used in this book. So it's for young children, preschool children, to write their books in there. So let's take a look at the story paper. You can see here there's the preview, and if you go ahead and download the PDF, it's right here, and you can see it's ready to go with CreateSpace. You can just upload that straight into CreateSpace. You have a storybook ready to go, just add a cover. Now, alternatively, if you use Adobe InDesign or Illustrator, which we totally recommend, if you're going to create books and you want to actually start customizing them, we also give you the templates for InDesign and Illustrator. So you can go ahead, download those, and edit them in InDesign. And what is awesome about that is if, for example, I mean, this is a fairly generic story paper book. Now, what will probably sell much better than this is if you customize it for boys or girls or for by interest. Like, for example, you could create a robot story paper book, and instead of having sort of this plain design, you could add little robot motifs up here. You could make like a princess design and put little castles. Like, maybe you could find a way to create a story paper book for adults. Like, maybe there's something fun you could add here to make like a novelty book for adults. Like, you could do my stories about the election or about Bitcoin and sort of sell it as a joke book for adults. Like, you have a lot of options with this. I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably stick with doing like the fairy tale story books. You can totally edit these using InDesign and Illustrator. And if you don't know how to use those tools, we have a full walkthrough of using InDesign to create line paper in the Curate course. So I would recommend looking at the Curate course if you want to learn more about doing that. Okay, so we've gone over all the interior files. As you can see, you've got these 12 different templates, each in 15 sizes, all ready to upload to CreateSpace, or that you can edit and customize using InDesign or Illustrator. So that's good. We are right here in CreateSpace making our mermaid composition book. The next step is to add a cover. So we can help you out with that as well. So if we go to blank cover templates, what we give you here is 3 templates that you can use to create your cover. And we give you Illustrator, the AI file. We give you Photoshop, so you can create it in Photoshop. And we also give you the plain, simple image PNG file. Now, Isaac, when he is designing covers, he always uses Photoshop because he's a pro, he uses Photoshop. If you know how to use Photoshop, awesome. You don't really need me to help you with that. But I will show you how I do it in Canva. Okay, so let's talk about how to set up the cover for our book. So we're creating a composition book. We've got it the mermaid composition book. We have our author set up, and we're going to go back to tangent templates and take a look. So we were looking at the interior files. Now we're going to take a look at the blank cover templates. Now, if you are using Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, or Photoshop, the files right here are template files that you can just pull into Photoshop or Illustrator and edit them and create your cover. Me, I don't do Photoshop particularly. I leave that up to Isaac. I tend to do Canva. So I'm going to show you how you can create a really, really simple composition book cover using Canva. So I'm going to jump into Canva, and remember, Canva is free. I do use the for work version because it has a few extra features, but you can use it absolutely free. And what we're going to do is say custom dimensions. So we've created a design, we're using custom dimensions, and what I'm going to do is look through here. Now the composition book is 7.44 by 9.69. Now, what Tangent Templates does is it gives you the recommended cover size, which is going to be slightly bigger than the actual book size. And the reason for that is that it allows a little bit of space in case the design bleeds outwards off of the page. So if you set up your cover with the book size, that's totally fine. It will work. CreateSpace will resize it automatically. But for the absolute optimal results, the best printing quality, make your book cover this recommended cover size. And we've done the math for you. We've put in the bleed amounts for you. So we're going to go across to Canva. We're going to say use custom dimensions. And you can see this is what you will usually see, width times height. And we're going to copy, first of all, 7.69 We're going to copy that into the width box, and we're going to grab the height, which is 10.19. We're going to copy that into the height box, and we're going to say design. And that will open up our new space for our book cover for us. Now you can drag in the template. So I've already downloaded it. What we're going to do, go to the tangent blank cover templates, and for Canva you're going to grab the PNG file. So I've downloaded that there. I'm going to upload it. I'll show you how I upload it. It's right there in my downloads. I'm going to pull it in, and I'm going to drag that across to the cover here. And I can make it a little bit bigger to fit. You don't want to go too big, you just want to make it fit perfectly. And what this does is it shows you the edge of the book. So this area here is actually like this outer edge of the book. And what will happen is that CreateSpace, when they print your book, they will crop your book. They will cut it somewhere in this pink space. So what you want to do is make sure that your design goes all the way out to the edge, but you want to make sure that there's nothing critical, like text, for example, in this red space, because that might get chopped off. So we've put that there. We're going to delete this template. We can delete it now if you're happy, if you can sort of eyeball it, or you can leave it there as you design and then delete it at the end. So I'm actually going to pull that now because I've had a look at it. I know where my picture has to be, and I'm going to pull in this image that is actually a public domain image by a guy called John Waterhouse from 1910. So it's very old. It is in the public domain. Beautiful image of a mermaid. And I'm going to position that in a good spot on the book. That looks really nice. And I want to show you something cool in Tangent Templates. So what we have done for you, if you scroll down, we've given you our basic cover panels. So you can create a college rule book, a wide rule book, 5x5 or 4x4 graph paper. So we'll make this simply a college rule composition book. So I'm going to save that. You can just download it, grab it off here. And we're going to go back into Canva, and I'm going to upload that panel, and I'm going to pop it in there. So it's really up to you how you do this. I'm going to resize it and put it there. Now you don't need to have this panel in here. You can leave that alone. You can make it big. I mean, with this one we put it right across the cover like that. I'm just going to put it up there. I think that looks really neat. You can also, of course, make your own. I mean, you can use the elements in Canva. I mean, the basic squares and things like that, you can use those without worrying about copyright. A lot of the other elements in Canva are licensed. You can't use those on the cover of your book, but that's a conversation for another time. But you can use basic things like squares, circles, because really those aren't really copyrightable shapes. They're just basic shapes. So I've put the panel in there, and that is our front cover ready to go. So I'm going to download it as a JPEG. CreateSpace wants it as a JPEG. So I'm going to download that right now. And we're going to go back to CreateSpace. So this is where we're setting up our book. We've got the title, Mermaid Composition Book. We've got the author, English language. We're going to give it a CreateSpace assigned ISBN number. So something that's really nice about CreateSpace, it gives you a free ISBN number. We're going to make sure the trim size is correct. So we're working with 7.44 by 9.69. So if we go back to the tangent templates, that's what we're working in there, the 744 by 969. So that looks good. We're going to leave it black and white. And now the fun bit, we've got, we need to put the PDF in there. So we're going to put in the PDF file right there that we've already downloaded. So there's the college rule PDF file, which we got from the interiors. Make sure you have the bleed set to end after the edge of the paper, so it will go all the way to the edge. You don't want to find that the lines in your paper are dropping off on the edge and you've got a white margin. So make sure you have bleed ends after the edge of the page. And now we're going to launch the cover creator. So this is the really fun part. We can bring in our cover that we've been working on in Canva. And you can see how easy this is. So we have this gorgeous design here, public domain image. I use Tangent to find my public domain images. I actually found this using Tangent. I looked up mermaid, and I took a look at Wikimedia. That's one of my favorite sites for finding public domain images. So that was the one I grabbed from there. But actually, I mean, I use Tangent to find all these pictures. There's an awful lot. If you don't want to use Tangent, there's a lot of museums, art galleries that have public domain images. Do make sure that the image you want to use is in the public domain. Don't use anything copyright, but there is a wealth of beautiful images you can use. So I'm going to go through the cover creator. So we're in CreateSpace, we're using the cover creator, and I'm going to go along a little bit to page, no, I don't want page 4, I want page 5. And on page 5 there is this cover called the Spruce, and this is my favorite, and it's the one I've used for this book, the other books I've done, because it lets you put an image on the front and then a plain back. And CreateSpace actually puts the barcode on for you, so you don't have to worry about that. They position it right there for you. So with composition books, I do an image on the front, plain back, and I use the Spruce. And I'll show you how that works now. So we're going to select it, say OK, and all we're going to do is go front cover image and upload, and hopefully our picture from Canva is right there. So let's see how it looks. Awesome. So that is the front cover, and then on the back I'm just going to get rid of all of this text. You really don't need any of it, so I'm just going to say visible, invisible. Perfect. The author photo, we don't need that, so I'm going to make that invisible. And the last thing I want to do is change the background color of my book. I don't really like the grey, so I could make it dark blue. I could make it black. I think I'm just going to go with black. Black always seems to merge really nicely. And that is it. That is the cover of our book. And you can see here they use the same template that we used. So it's like, okay, be careful about where you position the edges of your book. So that's pretty cool. Actually, looking at this, I might want to go back and fix my image slightly just to bring that away from the bleed. So maybe I should have left the template. But yeah, that looks pretty awesome to me. So our cover is done. We can say submit the cover, and that is going to upload straight into CreateSpace. Perfect. So our book is pretty much ready to go. We're almost at the end. We've put the cover in, we've put the interior in, and now we can just choose our cover finish. So the matte finish looks kind of rubbery. It's like a really cool look, but it has this sort of rubbery texture and it tends to pick up fingerprints. So I'm a little hesitant to recommend the matte cover picture for most notebooks, composition books. But if you're going for a certain arty sort of design, then the matte can look really nice. But generally I'll go with the glossy, it's nice and shiny. Then you can put a description in here. So you can put, what were we doing? We were doing college ruled. So we can say college ruled, whoops, lined paper, and you can put some information about the book. Perfect for students, perfect for mermaid lovers. Now you can really put what you want in here. Do think about keywords because they're going to be picked up both by Amazon and by Google. So you can put a good description in there if you can. And if you're making tons of books, then save your description in a file and you can copy and paste parts of it that fit each book you're doing. So you can really speed up the process. Okay, now don't get too hung up on the BISAC category. This is a cataloging system that's very academic. It's used to categorize books. It doesn't matter too much which one you choose. You can just go with non-classifiable. Sometimes what I'll do if my picture is very arty like this one, I might go with art and choose one that fits well from there. Like you can say subjects and themes, and you could actually say, well, it's a landscape and seascape, or it's a portrait. So you can absolutely do that and pick that as a category. It's really, really up to you what you use. No one's going to come down on you and say you used the wrong category. You may also like to use the education category and say, well, this is a book for homeschoolers or whoever it's for. I think homeschool, or you can say elementary if you're making like a kid's book, like the story paper. Like with this one, you might want to say that's elementary education. So you really have your choice of which category you use. You can add all this additional information. We don't really need this. Keywords I would definitely fill in. You're going to want to say mermaid, composition book, I don't know, fine art. You can put whatever keywords you want in there. And then finally, you're going to choose your distribution channels. And you definitely want standard distribution. You definitely want this going to Amazon.com and Amazon Europe. And you can also choose expanded distribution. So this is pretty neat. You can say you want it to be available to libraries and academic institutions. You can also make it available to bookstores. So, oh, I haven't set up the bisect properly there, but you can also make it available to bookstores. So if you select this through expanded distribution, it will be available to order through places like Barnes & Noble and through libraries. So really, really powerful with CreateSpace. Last thing you need to do is set a list price. Now, expanded distribution does change this a little bit, because if you allow expanded distribution, what it does is actually makes the minimum price higher, because books that go through expanded distribution don't give you so much in the way of royalties. Now, if we delete expanded distribution, you'll see the minimum price drops from $8 to $5. So it's up to you. You have to weigh up whether expanded distribution is useful enough for you to set the price at $8, or whether you want to go a little bit lower and set the price lower but not have that expanded distribution. So it's totally your choice. I'm going to say no expanded distribution, and I'm going to make my book, let's see what happens if we say $7.50. So at $7.50 we get $1.25 royalty each time it sells. I like the $9.99 that had it at, I think, a $2 royalty. So you can experiment with this, decide on a price that you're happy at and a royalty you're happy at. So each time this book sells, you're going to get $2.74. And what is really, really nice about this is that once your book is uploaded to CreateSpace, you never have to pay a penny. You don't have to do anything at all. If people like your book, they will buy it from Amazon, and each time they buy it from Amazon, Amazon will print it, ship it, and pay you this royalty, $2.74. So it's not a huge amount of money per book, but if you create, and you can create 4 versions of this one design. If you've created your beautiful mermaid book, you can create 4 versions of it: the 4x4, the 5x5, the college rule, and the wide rule. You've got 4 versions just making the composition books. Now you can add to that dot grid books, sheet music. You can make a book of sheet music with the beautiful mermaid cover. You can add all of those, and each of them is basically like buying another lottery ticket. For each book you have, the chances are more chances that you will sell some. And I find, I love CreateSpace. I get regular sales from CreateSpace. It's constant. It's a passive income. Once you have some books uploaded, you don't have to do anything else. Of course, if you want to market them, I strongly, strongly recommend you do so. Like putting them on Pinterest, putting them on Instagram, putting them on Amazon Spark. All of those things can really, really help you out with your marketing. And I have a million tips and marketing courses and ways to help you with that. So do join our groups and make sure you ask, because I am more than happy to help you with marketing your books. Okay, so let's go back through this quickly. We've got the title, author, language, ISBN number set up. We've got the right size. It's black and white. We've uploaded the interior. We've uploaded our cover. We've selected a glossy finish. Put a little description in there. Obviously, I do recommend putting a little bit more information in there. We've chosen our bisect category. We've got standard distribution. List price of $9.99, and we are ready to go. So complete setup and submit for a review, and the next thing, your book will be available on Amazon in a couple of days. Now, with the first book you create, I strongly recommend getting a physical proof copy. I think it costs about $2, but you can order a copy just so you can check it through, make sure it's printed the way you expect, make sure that you're happy with it. But subsequent books, you can just digitally proof them and make sure they look okay on the screen, and they'll be fine. So that was how you create a book using tangent templates. It's very easy. It's very straightforward. We've tried to include everything to make it easy for you. We are open to more suggestions if there's other interior files you'd like to see, if there's other images that could help you, like the cover panels. We are more than happy to sort of try and help you with that. Lastly, we have an interior reference chart here, and this is great just if you're browsing and you're trying to think about what kind of book you want to create. You can absolutely take a look at this, and it gives you all the book sizes that CreateSpace offer. It gives you the size of book you should make with bleed, so this is actually the cover size you should do with the bleed. It tells you the availability of expanded distribution for black and white books, colour books, and also cream paper black and white books. It also gives you the page counts. So you know, for example, if you want to make a big book, the 8.5 by 11, You can see here that the minimum page count you can have is 24, the maximum is 600 if you're doing black and white, or 480 if you're doing color. So that's like a really helpful reference guide there. There's also some more references in the resources. For example, we have a link to the trim size comparison chart, which is printed by CreateSpace. Super helpful. I can never find this, so we've tried to put the helpful tools in here that show you. This gives you a sort of visual on the sizes of the different books. But we've tried to include everything in here that is helpful to you with your CreateSpace or KDP book. And remember, I'm just using CreateSpace for this, but it absolutely works with KDP. You can use all of these book templates with KDP. They have the same book sizes. So I hope this was really helpful to you. Isaac and I are around for help, support, whatever you need with this tool. I'm using it all the time. I'm very excited about it. I think it's really going to make CreateSpace a lot easier for all of us, and I hope you really enjoy it.